I have a Nyle C-Series R-513A. This is a HMI overview, which is the interface to the system. This happens to be a C90A. So this is the main page. And at the top, we will show a demand mode, which is set for tank. If it was connected to an MCP or a BMS gateway, it would be set for external mode. And above that, if it has a heat call, it will show heat call status, and it will say tank or MCP depending on the mode as well. We have the system off right now. The status indicates the cycle. If we started the cycle, it would say system on. We have no alarms currently. If there was an alarm, we would have alarm status. There's a yellow for warning alarms and a red status for lockout alarms. We have displayed leaving water temperature target, LWT. Condenser LWT actual value is showing 109 degrees. We have the condenser flow, condenser entering water temperature, and the ambient air temperature, since this is an air unit. I will note water units will have different items appear on the page if it's a water unit. Since we're in tank mode, we also show the tank target, set point, and the tank temperature actual 73 degrees. If we were in external mode, this would be hidden. It would say external mode, and you would need to check the external controller for those values, which would be the MCP or your BMS gateway. We also show some status lamps here on the right, which will be pump, fan, compressor, hot gas bypass valve if equipped, and defrost if equipped. Again, these will change based on the unit model. They may say various other things. At the bottom, we have a menu. The configure page is for service technicians only. Diagnostic page is accessible. The factory page is for factory level support. We have alarm page and error logs. So if we look at the diagnostic page, we have the same header at the top, the same features. Then we will show the compressor runtime in hours, or the heat pump runtime in hours. Our start delay, which would show a time delay value if it was counting down in a compressor time delay. Currently, it's already timed out and is ready. We have a compressor lamp, which would turn solid green if the compressor was running. We have a suction line pressure and a discharge line pressure. We also have condenser information, more status lamps, pump, condenser heat tape, the condenser freeze protection, flow value, valve percent, that's 0 to 100%, valve open. We have condenser entering water and leaving water, actual temperatures. There's also a max pump button, which will, if pressed, will turn the pump on for the amount of time set here. It will count down and then automatically turn off. If the unit were in cycle, this would show disabled. We must be out of cycle and stopped for that to be active. Similar information for the evaporator side. In this case, we have an air unit, so we show a fan, liquid line solenoid valve, hot gas bypass valve, evaporator heater elements, and then actual values, ambient air, evaporator, suction line temperature, saturated suction line temperature, and superheat. And again, an air unit, so we have a fan off or on and a timer. If pressed, the fan would start for the 60 seconds that is set and then automatically turn off. And again, this would be disabled during a cycle. We do have a remote enable indicator, which is the customer wired remote enable jumper. We do ship units with a jumper installed. If a external device is used, that would be removed for a customer input. Next, we have the alarm page. This shows warning alarms. The green lamp status indicates no alarm. This would turn red if the alarm was active. There's also a sensor alarm and a lockout alarm page. None of those are currently active. If they were, you would have shortcut buttons for those pages. They look similar, except with different descriptions. A sensor fault would indicate a sensor error or wiring issue. The lockout faults are similar to these, except they require reset. Warning alarms will reset themselves once the condition is cleared. Lockout alarms must be reset. A reset button will appear below the alarm if the alarm is active. We also show a error log page that shows a list of our logged alarms. So we can see when the alarm occurred. It can be deleted, or you can click check to say confirmed we had the alarm, and we can scroll up and down and go back in history further from there. So for service technicians, we have a configuration page. Nothing really changes on any of the other screens except the service mode gives you access to the configuration page. Service codes are fixed 4-digit codes that are referenced in the unit manual. For this unit, the code is 6947. And now allows us to the configure page. There are 2 configure pages. This first one, we select tank or remote demand mode. Tank will be a standalone unit. Remote will be a unit with MCP or BMS gateway. And we also have, in this case, we have a single pass unit. So we have demand set points for tank mode. We have our demand differential, target condenser leaving water temperature, and target tank temperature. Again, for remote mode, that will be controlled by an MCP or external controller. For configure page 2, we have an idle flow valve position that can be set for closed or open. This is the flow valve position when the unit is down. So you set that for your desired position when the unit is down. If this was a water unit, we would have a source fluid selection for water or glycol. Of course, it defaults to water, but we do have capabilities for glycol. This button basically just changes some internal calculations for our program. We have some purge set points here. That's for the pump, condenser pump. After the unit stops, we have a purge max time and a purge cutout. The pump will run after the unit shuts down until it reaches this airing water temperature or max purge time, whichever happens first. We'll shut the pump down. The flow verification timers are for startup of the pump, the condenser, and the evap flow. These are time delays that allows us to check for the flow for that amount of time before going into alarm. That is the configuration page. On the main screen, you notice the little lock symbol is gone. That means we still have access. That will time out after 8 hours. And so that's our HMI.